Well, I am altogether with it tonight. Good evening. Fun times. Fun times. Hang on. I was initially going to warn you that I was probably going to have a coughing fit, but I didn't get a chance. I'm telling you, I'm batting 100 tonight. So, anyway, starting out with any updates. Don't know of any. Just doing the same old. Grow tent's going strong. Going strong and growing strong. And other than that, just not much. I mean, not much to add. So, just been thinking about projects, new projects moving forward. Got lots of stuff, lots of gears turning in my head. And we still have the projects that we never did really get underway yet. Like the Coleman stove, still got to get that underway. And then as soon as I have the funds to put towards it, we're going to be building a DIY solar system. As we can, we will. But howdy, Lord Kavork. As we can, we will. And my whole thing is I want to show you guys how to do it. And if I can show you easy ways, cheap ways, whatever it is, I've learned a few things over my 49 years on this ball of dirt, and I want to pass it on. And, now is probably a better time than any to do that. And so that's what I'm trying to do. Unfortunately, I'm limited because I ain't got bunches of bucks. So, and I dumped the last of decent money I had into camera equipment and you name it for doing this. So I'm halfway there. Now I just have to get the supplies for the different projects. Like I said, the grow tent's going great. That project's already underway. You can keep up on that. There's a playlist. I put out a video every day, except for Saturday, because I do honor Shabbat. Sorry. What's that noise? Hang on, folks. Let me do a quick weather check because things got a little stupid there for a second. I don't know what's up. Yeesh. Let me take a peek at that. I mean, they're not showing anything too crazy, but wow.
What was it?
I don't know. It was like a squeak noise.
No, could it have been the gutter?
I don't know. It was like a squeak noise. I don't know what it was, but at the same time, a gust of wind, just like one gust, just was unbelievable that went through. I mean, it really laid the trees down. But it was just like one gust, and then it let up, and then now it's just kind of gusting back and forth. But that was pretty crazy. That was pretty crazy. Which I'm sure it was just a gust front coming through. But wow. The storm itself doesn't look here. There you go. I can't get this interactive map any bigger, so right here-ish, or where we are, and oh, you can't. Can you really? Oh wait, you can see it, can't you? Oh no, you can't. Wow, you guys can't see that? Wow, that sucks. Okay, I thought you could. My apologies. Doo-doo-doo. Doo-doo-doo. Wonder if it'll let me change this on the fly. Actually, it's supposed to show you my cursor. I don't know why it's not. Oh, yeah, it is. There it is. Okay, whatever. So, anyway, right here is where we are. So, there's like a little bit of a indentation there that I kept my eye on for a moment, but there's no, no serious rotation of any kind, no hail, so, I mean, the major indicators just aren't there, but I'll tell you what, it is sure kind of nasty out there. So anyway, sorry. I know you're not here to hear about my live weather reports. So let's see. Get back on track here. Alright, so tonight I wanted to discuss a little bit about what's going on in this country. And let me come back up. I want to discuss a little bit about what's going on in this country and, what it means for us. And also want to remind you that this is just our domestic issues, okay? As you know in the headlines that I do every day, that's a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of the whole picture that we're looking at. So, apparently there was a poll that was taken. And on average, like over 35% of the people want to secede. Now, that's not just Democrats or just Republicans. That's both. That's both. Tim Pool is actually live and talking about the same thing right now. And I was watching him for a bit before I came on, and now he brought up something very, very interesting, and I must say I concur. So he showed a map, and I don't know exactly where the map is, or I'd show it to you. He showed a map that had the country split up, and let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Either 4 or 5 different places. I know there was like the West Coast, right? And then there was like the southern states that included everything pretty much from Texas on up to Kentucky, on up on over down to Florida, right? But I can't remember all the northern states. I can't remember where Pennsylvania was, if they, or like Virginia's. I don't know where they were. I think maybe the Virginias were with the southern states. But anyway, it showed them, and obviously, it would be the conservatives wanting to secede, in the southern states. Obviously, out west, it's the liberals that want to concede from, the U.S. Now, here's the thing that I thought was interesting. The Midwest portion, like me, it was the independents that wanted to secede from both the Democrats and the Republicans. And I thought that was incredible. I was like, oh yeah, that represents me. So it kind of makes me wonder if there's kind of something to that with my mindset, how I feel about stuff, how I feel nonpartisan and stuff like that, how I'm very sternly nonpartisan. It could very likely be a Midwestern influence on me that causes that. I don't know, but I look at them both and it's like, you're both ignorant. Now, I'm not talking about Republicans and Democrats people. I'm talking about leadership. Yeah, it's just insane. It is just insane. So you've got that going on, right? And then on top of all of that, you've got all this wokeness stuff and all of that. And believe you me, there's going to come a time, not too far from now, I don't believe, to where people are really going to start putting their foot down and saying enough. And I think we're about to find that moment. I really do, because, I mean, seriously, enough. And I think, what was the latest thing today? Is it fish? Yeah, fish. They're renaming fish now. You can't call them Asian carp or whatever the hell now. They have to be called invasive carp or whatever, right? Because if we call them Asian carp, then that might... Are you kidding me? So now the names of our fish have to be woke. You know, I was raised in hell many years ago, decades ago, when they started this bullshit with changing it from manhole cover to person hole cover. I was back there raising hell then and saying no. Not that I think men should have dominance over the words of the English language. Where does this nonsense come from? The reason I'm saying no goes back to the whole premise of why they're trying to change our language. No. They literally change language to brainwash people. Go look it up. Go look it up. It's been done time and time and time again. Look it up. It's been done on biblical accounts. It's been done on historical accounts. It's been done on so many accounts. Anytime anybody gets the chance basically to screw people over, so, anyway, we got the secession thing going on. We got all this craziness going on. We got crime that is seemingly through the roof, all over, especially in the major metropolitan cities. Wow. Especially in the major metropolitan cities, but even in the rural areas, crime is really picked up. You know, and yeah, given it's mostly just petty kind of stuff, it is still picked up. I think I saw an article from a local news affiliate just like yesterday or the day before. Somebody got shot or shot at trying to steal catalytic converters, and this was in St. Louis area. And yeah, that's crazy. And they've had a real bad issue with catalytic converter theft over in St. Louis. So they've pretty much had a big issue with any kind of crime over there. So the other part of this is you've got what's clearly government and government agencies being used to target political factions. Okay, and this is nothing new, especially for the Democrats. And that's not picking sides and just pointing fingers. I'm just stating the facts. I've talked numerous times on this show about Larry Connors and what happened to Larry Connors, a news anchor from St. Louis. And just because he asked a very pertinent, important question to Obama, a question that everybody wanted to know the answer to, everybody deserved the answer to. The man's life was essentially ruined. Right? And Obama even used the IRS to do it. Go look it up. Larry Connors. Incredible man, incredible news anchor. He still does stuff. He's on YouTube. He's not got many subscribers. It's sad. If you were to ask me to name off, icons of St. Louis, it wouldn't be sports figures. It wouldn't be sports figures. Two of them, and I can only think of two, are news broadcasters. And that's Larry Connors and Julius Hunter. Julius Hunter is no longer with us. I got to tell you this. Because I don't know. It just... So, a long time ago, and I can't remember what child abduction it was. But there was a child abduction, and it was heartbreaking. The whole nation was on the edge of their seats. And I'm sorry I can't remember the name of the child just off the top of my head. And I don't know if they found the person, or I can't remember that particular thing, but I do remember Julius doing a news report. And he could barely speak. I don't know if sorrow is the right word, and the anger and all of the emotions that welled up in him as he's trying to... Now remember, folks, this was back when they did news. It wasn't all this opinion bull crap. They weren't allowed to put opinions in it. Can you imagine that? There was a time where on public television, broadcast air television, on the news, there were no opinions. They weren't allowed. They were not allowed. Imagine that. I'm talking about that time. Anyway, he's doing everything he can to hold in, and he gets to the end of his little report, and he goes, if I could just have 5 minutes in a room. Something to that effect. I'm paraphrasing. Now, this was a big black dude, right? He was a sizable dude. And it was his tone of voice. It was the words he used. You knew the man, when he said it, meant every word of it. But for something like that to be said on a news broadcast, he could have lost his job. He didn't. I think he had everybody that heard him so behind him, there's no way he would have lost it. It was a different time back then. But I wanted to share that. That was Julius Hunter, and there's no way you could understand the weight of it without experiencing the moment. But Julius Hunter will forever be, in my mind, one of the most remarkable human beings that I've ever seen. Because I never met him, but Larry Connors is high up there as well. So imagine that, both news, and it has nothing to do with that I do news. It's just priorities. Anyway, The other part of what I wanted to talk about was how it seems like it's not just Biden. It's the media. It's the Biden administration. It's members of Congress. It's everywhere. I mean, us individuals are not to be excluded for a second. But there's a whole lot of talk about civil war. And that's even coming from, like I say, the administration. It's one thing when it comes from media. It's one thing if, there's banter among individuals. But when you have the presidential administration talking about it, almost seemingly kind of pushing this, prodding in that direction. I'll tell you what, it gets me thinking. I feel like I constantly have to remind people that we may not have much longer to function in the ways that we currently are. What do I mean? Let's say something goes hot here in the United States. And I mean hot. I don't mean a little brawl or whatever. I mean hot. You don't think the U.S. government is going to stamp down on the entire country like you wouldn't believe? Because if you haven't figured it out, the United States government does the exact opposite that they say. If you watch how, for instance, they demand other countries treat their, say, protesters, okay? If you look at that and then see how the U.S. treats theirs, their own, it's like, wait a minute here. Now, I'm not talking about the rounds of rioting and looting and burning places. That's not protesting. That's vandalism and looting and rioting. That's not protesting. There's a big difference. Here, I've seen it time and time and time and time again. Them sit there and tear gas the hell out of innocent protesters. I've seen it time and time again. Man, look at all the lawsuits to where they'll have people zip tied on the ground and just walk by them and pepper spray them when they're restrained. There's tons of lawsuits like that, stuff like that happening. Children, little kids being purposely sprayed directly in the face with mace or whatever, pepper spray, whatever the cops are carrying. Yeah. There's lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit. And they're not false lawsuits because there's videos to back them up. I mean, yeah, I think there's civil war brewing. But I don't think it's necessarily just between like the right and the left. I think there's so many factions of the Civil War, it's unreal. Now, I think the plan by the powers that be was essentially to try to get it to be the right and the left, black and white, hell, if they possibly can, men and women. Look at it. That's what they've been doing. They've been dividing us up the best they can. They pretty much destroyed what we used to call the nuclear family. They've all but destroyed it. How many people do you know that still live in the nuclear family? How many? And I mean, mom is mom, dad is dad. Children aren't woke. and they're the same gender they were when they popped out. That's what I'm talking about. Right? Nuclear family. How many do you know? That's horrifying to me. Absolutely horrifying to me. What is the most important thing for a human being to learn? Well, no, I'm not going to ask you just to boil it down to one. But think of the things, the important things, the critically important things. You know, like sticking with it, toughing it out, not just throwing something away automatically because we don't like it. You know, good things come with hard work. Sometimes good things take time. All these good lessons that we're supposed to learn. Right? But those lessons, in many cases, are ripped away when you rip away that foundation of that family. It's a fact. It's a psychological fact. We got screwed as a nation. And it was done on purpose. Absolutely done on purpose. They used humans' weakness against us. Temptation. Easy ride. They used those things against us to get us to destroy ourselves. Right? Look at it. You know, people want to talk a lot about the social programs and stuff, but look at how they funneled people into them. And then look at how they trap them and keep them down into them once they got them. You think that stuff's not planned? You think that's not orchestrated? That's their intent. Look at what happens in the family court systems. I know I've talked about this time and time again. Look at what happens. People need to look at it. Stop turning their head. Man, you know, and I know I talked about it in depth yesterday with the child support stuff. Man, if people don't know what's going on in these family courts, they need to find out, because it's destroying this nation. It's eradicating the fathers out of these children's lives completely. And then using economic terrorism against them so they can never have a productive life after that. So I get pissed off when Bear Independent wants to call people who owe child support scumbags. That's a pretty scumbag thing to do. Ridiculous. Where went the Americans, you know, the real Americans, the true patriots that wanted to see others succeed? Now we got people that claim to be, but just want to step down. Step down and step down and step down, as if it's getting them up any higher. Yeah, I'm sorry. That lights me on fire. Lights me on fire. Believe me, I'm doing everything I can to keep my mouth shut, and I'm sorry for the dead air. I try. I really try. Anyway, I think we could most certainly be looking at a serious situation in this country. And I mean, our answer's still the same. Like I keep telling you, you know what? I probably ought to get in the habit of telling you every day. Really should. That in the end, it's our answer's the same. We have to get ready. We have to be prepared. Our answer's the same. It's important, yes, to know this stuff because it's important to know what it is that's kind of going to get you in the rear. But what's more important is that you're doing action, that you're getting ready. That's what's more important. Information, news, information stuff, that should come second to action. So it kind of goes hand in hand because you got to have the news and information to take the proper actions, but at the same time, it's kind of like faith without works. Just one and not the other is just not going to cut it. So pretty much the same thing. I would keep a close eye on what happens. I've had a lot of suspicions with different posturing that's happening in government right now, different comments that have been made. I really do think they're going to crack down on organizations, and I also do think that the current administration, I think, is going to do everything that they can to associate anything red. When I say that, I'm talking Republicans, conservatives, even people in the center, and anything other than them are going to be basically declared white supremacists. I guarantee it. Because they've already laid out the framework for it. So expect that. I don't know what's going on over there in the UK. I think it's UK. There's something with footballers and racism going on and all of that. And I don't know honestly what's really happening. I don't know if there's actually racism going on or if they're being insulted because they lost and it's getting called racism because they're getting told they suck and because I don't know. I honestly don't know. But I have been watching for quite some time, just like here, over there, there is a push to destroy any white type of people, any male type of people. There is a push to demonize them. And it's absolutely mind-blowing to me. I guess what is most bothersome, most concerning is how successful they have been. I mean, it's pretty much just been wide open for them. Not getting much resistance. Not yet. I hope that changes. Folks, there is one thing for certain. If we want a chance at all at saving this nation, we damn well better learn how to fight for one another instead of against one another. So nobody need to be wanting to step down on nobody. For no reason. Especially if you claim to be a liberty-loving, freedom-loving, father-loving, Torah-following, another thing, side note, always blown my mind. Got a buddy of mine, talked about him on yesterday's show. He was the one that had the message for me to be still. I've talked about this before, but that dude, he can cite you any verse of the Bible at any time. He can tell you who begat who, what verse, blah, blah, blah. He can, literally, a photographic memory for the Bible. It's amazing. It's amazing. And there's honestly not much that I envy or I covet. And it's not because I'm that great or anything. It's just I've got a lot of perspective in my life, okay? And there's just not a lot that woos me, okay? And anyway, damn it, now I lost track of where I was even going. Oh, yeah. But that, I do. I do have a bit of envy for, and that's not a good thing. I'm not saying it's a good thing. That's a bad thing. But, because I can't do that. I can't recite like that. But here's the ironic part. He can cite that Bible word for word, literally. But can't follow it for the life of him. Can't really grasp what it's trying to say. He doesn't get it. He knows each and every word of it. But he just doesn't get it. It's mind-blowing. It truly is. And I think it frustrates him because I'm just the opposite. I suck at remembering scripture word for word. One of the worst at it, probably. But I can tell you what that good book means. To me, it's not hard at all. I understand the parables. I understand the literal things. I get it. Oh. Anyway, just thought that was interesting. Oh, I did have one update that I forgot to tell you about. Let me show you, and then we'll get to headlines. I did add something to the website. So, believe it or not, I forgot to pimp our own website. So anyway, it's not a big deal. I just added the playlist, the vlog playlist. I've got it two places. I've got it on the home page here, and then I've also got it under projects, and then there's a daily vlog videos button that you can click, and it takes you to that page. Good morning, YouTubian. Automatically start playing. But anyway, and then everything's there, like all the entire playlist. You click over there, and you got all the playlists. So it just kind of shows it in one player window. So it's kind of cool. I like it. It's there. And I got that added earlier today, so. And hopefully this one ain't starting. Good morning. Yeah, it is. They will autoplay, just as free warning, but I do that because it gets people's attention. That's the point. Okay, let me do another quick check of weather. Oh, yeah, we're all gonna die. Nice. Sweet. I love it when we're all gonna die. Let me pull this up to see exactly how bad we're gonna die. Put on my glasses.
Yeah. Eh. Damn it. Little to no chance of death. That sucks. Alright. I guess we'll just do the news. Ah, fun. Okay. Don't have any from last night. So, start out with this one from this morning. Chick-fil-A fanatic Lindsey Graham vows to go to war for pro-Christian food chains principles amid student protests. Again, all this kind of symbolism and stuff, it reminds me of the whole "come out of her, my people" thing, Yeah, there is no partially in and partially out. You're either all in or you're all out, and that's what cracks me up with a lot of this type of stuff. People say that they came out of her, but yet they wallow in it. They care about the things of the world. That's pretty much all they worry about. Is the things of the earth. Just gets me, and that's what all of this stuff reminds me of. All these food chain Bible words. Does that even sound? That just sounds weird. Food chain Bible war. Is that something that you think that the Father would really want to see? He wants men to stop being beta males and to stand up. Number one, the Father nor Yeshua were weak. Neither one of them were weak. At the same time, I can't say so much for the Father. I don't want to put something out there that's not out there. But Yeshua was very compassionate at the same time. I think the Father was too, although it wasn't, to my knowledge, wasn't really openly displayed, except maybe during the times of Noah, it became a little more obvious, but Yeshua was extremely compassionate. But at the same time, he wouldn't screw around whatsoever. And I always find it interesting because, a lot of different people that get involved in religion, they either take one side of it or the other, right? They either want to say that he was a pacifist and you should just give all in, or they want to say, he wanted to go kick everybody's ass. And neither one of them is true. He had an impeccable amount of discernment. And that's what I think largely was trying to be taught. You hear people go around and especially, biblically minded or however you want to word it, and they'll insult the hell out of people that are, say, felons or been in trouble with the law or whatever the case may be, and they don't even understand that they are literally themselves representing the Pharisees. They can't even see it. Here they think that they're doing the Father's work, or at least they claim to be. I think what it is, they like to be in control. And they use religion as a form of control. So, they find that they can kind of beat people down and around with the good book by using things like Romans and stuff like that And so they do. Look, if you see somebody using the Bible to beat somebody else, to actually kind of beat them down, they're using it wrong. They're using it wrong. It should be a freeing thing. It should be a freeing thing. It should be a loving thing, but at the same time a stern thing. Discernment. Right? It wasn't all about the pacifists, and it wasn't all about the Pharisees. About finding a balance. Imagine that. Seems like maybe possibly, I don't know, some other belief systems might have had some thoughts about balance. Miami mayor calls for U.S. to bomb Cuba because airstrikes have worked so well in the past. World's first modular mini reactor to be built in China. Yeah, this well, actually it didn't blow my mind. It disgusted me, but nonetheless. Jackie Chan gets karate chopped on social media after expressing desire to join China's Communist Party. And I'm waiting for it was John Cena, I think, right? That like went groveling to China. I think it was John Cena. If I'm wrong on that, I'm sorry, John. But anyway, or was it? I think it was John Cena. Anyway, what is it with this? I mean, because to me, this reminds me of the same thing, essentially. I'm just waiting for old John to announce that he's wanting to join the Communist Party. Oil prices slip amid reports of OPEC Plus reaching compromise on production boost. Let's see. Drug makers fined 260 million pounds. I always have to sit there and think, pounds or euros, for overcharging NHS as price of life-saving medicine rose over 10,000%, says a British regulator. We've got the same problem, I think, around the globe, and I don't understand it. Just like I don't understand how the world could be in debt. Because I want to know what other planet we owe. That's number one. But the other thing that I want to know is how come these medications honestly have to cost this kind of money? And how come the governments can't say, no, wait. And don't throw the communism bullshit at me, because that ain't going to work. We could very simply say, look, this is the deal. Right? This is medicine. This is stuff that it's intended to save lives, or at least make people's lives, livable. Right? We shouldn't be doing what we're doing. We shouldn't be making a maximum profit off of people's health. That's ridiculous. And that's why I say, election season comes up and everybody's all cheering and rah, 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 my politician, my politician. I'm like, no, stop. Stop. These people don't care about you. If they did, they would damn well do something about this stuff. But they're too busy getting their wallets padded from these drug makers so that they don't. And if you're actually foolish enough to go vote for them, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. Stop. Republican, Democrat, I don't give a damn. Stop. Until they're ready to put an end to people are dying. I mean, I know it's not illegal to let somebody die. I get that. It's not. It's not. As far as I know, in most places, at least in the United States, it's not illegal. If somebody's dying in front of you, whether you do or don't know how to save their life, if you do not take action, I don't believe that you can be charged with anything. You don't have to save somebody's life. It's not a law. Kind of fucked up, ain't it? Not that I'm saying that should be a law, because, innocent people could get in trouble because they didn't know how to perform a procedure. At the same time, an innocent person that were scared, they didn't want to be charged with not trying to do anything, could try to do something and cause more harm than good. Nothing but bad could come out of that. But my point is that they could go after these pharmaceutical companies. They could come after these drug makers. Plain and simple. That's a completely different situation than the average Joe Blow on the street that comes across a car accident and is apprehensive about helping. Some people aren't made for that stuff. And that's okay. That's okay. Again, pushing somebody to do something that they're completely uncomfortable with and or know very little about is often going to cause more harm than good. Sorry, I guess I'm a little ranty tonight. We don't know where to run. South Africans brace for new wave of devastating riots after ex-President Zuma jailed. Breaking point reached in Peru after supporters of losing candidate Fujimori attacked ministers, vehicles, and members of the press. Australian state of Victoria to enter its fifth lockdown amid Delta COVID threat. Berlin police investigating sedition raid homes of 5 officers suspected of disseminating racist right-wing views. Nutrition emergency. Ukraine has more citizens classed as severely food insecure than any other European state, claims UNICEF. Oh yeah. I got an interesting thing I want to mention here in a moment. Chinese economy grows by nearly 8% as quarterly retail sales soar. Here's that one thing I was talking about. Asian carp fish is renamed as invasive carp in the U.S. over concerns about cultural insensitivity. So you can no longer call it an Asian carp. You have to call it an invasive carp. Not that we're saying Asians are invasive now. Wait a minute. Was our wokeness even more insulting? I believe it was. Huh. Pfizer jab gets green light for emergency use as coronavirus tears through Indonesia. U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter makes emergency landing amid Bucharest street traffic in Romania. I think it's Bucharest, but potato, Bucharest, whatever. Russia still won't consider allowing Western COVID-19 vaccines into the country as Kremlin says we've enough of our own jabs. Well, we've enough of our own jabs. Suck it. I just suck. Germany says sorry but no Siberian village after locals ask Merkel to encourage local government to build paved road. But who would build the roads? Yes, they do. Australian PM shifts blame for country's slow vaccine rollout on expert medical bodies' cautious approach and constrained advice. Tying coronavirus recovery funds. I've got some questions. Tying coronavirus recovery funds for Hungary to its contentious law against LGBT propaganda will ruin the EU, says Budapest. Hang on, I'll ask the question momentarily. India bans MasterCard from adding new customers over data storage breach. A bizarre scene in Russia as couple have scrap and cover elevator in blood before coming back to clean it all up. Yeah, I'm not going to play the video, but like, he was slamming her around that elevator pretty bad. It was rough. I didn't watch like the whole video, but like, they played just a little clip of the video, and that was pretty bad. I don't know how much. I mean, he's all bloody too, so believe me, she got some in on him too. But EU launches legal action against Hungary and Poland for violating rights of LGBTQ plus citizens. Now I'm going to ask my question. So, we all know about Brexit. What happened with that? People, wanting to leave, wanting to secede, right? Are countries like, say, Hungary and Poland now going to want to secede from the EU over all of this? Because I see that happening very quick like. And I think it's awesome. I hope it happens. We need to break up these huge blocks of government. They're not a good thing. Centralized government is not a good thing. And we see that on all the fronts right now. International fronts, they're trying to keep building and building and building upon this centralized control system. It's not a good thing. And we're sitting here and we're watching things like the EU and the UK fall apart. And it's because it is centralized power. And it never works out. Because it winds up, every system essentially winds up in some form of authoritarianism. And that's why it fails. Nobody can sit here and tell me that capitalism is what works and socialism is what fails. And you can't tell me that socialism is what works and capitalism is what fails. You know why? Because both have proven to fail. Why? Because they all lead to the same thing. Greed and authoritarianism. And just an absolute control strategy. It always leads to the same thing. It's called corruption. It's called greed. It's called mankind. It doesn't matter which system it is. It starts off with good intentions, and usually there's enough things put in place that keeps everything working properly, at least for some period of time, but then enough corruption and crap gets involved that it slowly degrades over time until it becomes something that is no longer sustainable, like the current United States of America. But my original question was, is this going to cause countries like Hungary and Poland to want to leave the EU? And I'm saying hopefully so. Because I'm serious. We need to do that. And we need to do that in the United States as well. I'm all for states seceding from the country here in the United States. I'm all for it. Yes. We got to do something. And it has to be clear. It has to be made very clear. The no has to have a hell of an echo behind it. So, yeah. I think we need to break up a lot of these centralized governments, including our federal government. So, especially our federal government. Let's see. Streaming saved music industry from piracy only to plunder creators' revenues, says UK Parliament Committee. And that's true. That is absolutely true. The people that actually make music get screwed over so bad, it's unreal. And they get screwed over from every direction. Really, to be honest, at least before all the COVID stuff, most of the bands and stuff like that, the only place they could really make any money was off merchandise. Everything else pretty much got taken from them. For this fee, that fee, whatever. Yeah. It's such a screwy business, it's unreal. And that's why I have mad respect for those that do the stuff on their own, you know? I get it. I understand. That's the only way you can not get screwed over. But anyway, with all this streaming stuff, they're getting screwed over even more. They're getting pennies on the dollar now for each copy, essentially. Sad. Russia scrambles 4 fighter jets as U.S. Air Force B-52H bombers fly over Bering Sea heading towards country's border. Russia accuses U.S. of staging anti-government protests in Cuba, saying Washington must now end hypocrisy of economic blockade. 66% of Republicans in southern U.S. and nearly half of West Coast Democrats want to secede from country as division grows. Terrorism cannot be ruled out. Pakistan bus blast. Investigators find traces of explosives as China vows to help inquiry. Dutch crime reporter De Vries dies 9 days after being shot in Amsterdam. U.S. military flying plane loads of illegal immigrants around America in secret, says the media. EU branded hypocrites and slammed for promoting racist hiring practices after court says hijab can be banned at work. Crisis deepens in Lebanon as PM designate steps down after failing to form a government for 8 months. Stay away from waters near Crimea, or British sailors risk facing the full might of Russia's armed forces, Moscow warns London. So, once again, a statement of this sort is being made. I honestly do believe that they are going... I think they're going to call the bluff. I think they're going to try it. And I'm not so sure that Russia isn't going to fire. I don't know. That's why I keep telling folks, get ready, be ready. That's all it takes, and that's a kickoff. I'm not saying that right that second everything's just going to go to hell. But you don't think that the moment folks see some type of conflict breaking out, they ain't gonna maybe be going and picking up a few extra things themselves? What you need to do is beat those people. That's the plan. Let's see. Moscow roads and airport washed out as biblical rains hit Russian capital, bringing scorching summer heat wave to sudden end. I don't know where I got summer from. And let me move this here, so I'm not one-eye reading. 2 properties raided amid UK probe into CCTV footage leak that exposed Matt Hancock's affair that led to resignation. South Africa deploys 10,000 troops to quell riots, the minister says, as death toll in KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng, I guess, reaches 117. Working for Kamala Harris made staffers sick with stress and drove them to therapy, says reports. That is mind-blowing. How do these people even get remotely near these positions to wind up vice president of the United States? How? Yeah. Ex-military were conned into assassination of Haitian leader, Colombia's president says, though some were willing participants. Serious violent incident. American Booksellers Association apologizes for distributing an anti-trans book. My goodness, how could we possibly have a separate and opposing opinion? Russia poised to ban investigative news site Prok as undesirable organization as journalists handed a foreign agent label. I have no idea if I said that even close to right. Israeli billionaire embroiled. That's it. He was just embroiled. No, he embroiled in $360 million graft scandal thought to be country's biggest ever, says reports. Wow. Kind of like crazy weather. Just taking a peek, see? Yeah. Just lots of rain, but man, there's a whole lot of it. Okay. I don't know what is up with the yawns. Kremlin says Kremlin says claims Putin ordered campaign to put Trump in power are fundamentally untrue after supposed expose in The Guardian. Tech companies plan to introduce bizarre pregnant man emoji. When are we going to say no? When are we going to say no? And I don't want to hear no bullshit. Well, we can't do nothing. We can't. I don't want to hear nothing. Oh, we need to go to Gab. We need to go to this. We need to go to that. No. We need to stop running. We need to stop hiding. We need to stop cowering. We got work to do. And it starts with saying no. Malfunction at the podium. Psaki announces vaccines can still kill you in eyebrow-raising slip-up. I-16 highway in U.S. state of Georgia blocked after truck hits overpass, shifts bridge by 6 feet. U.S. military helped train some of the Colombian suspects in assassination of Haitian president, the Pentagon admits. 20% jump in alcohol-related deaths in England as many turn to drinking at home during pandemic, says the government. Nah. Well, you wouldn't let them drink in the bars. Russiagate, Rideau. Let's see. The Guardian's spooky anonymous sources claim Putin put Trump in power, but there's still no hard evidence. A White House admits to flagging. Oh, this is insane. Now, right here, just right here, people should be going to jail. Right here. White House admits to flagging problematic post for Facebook says it's necessary to fight medical misinformation. Now, we hear people bitch and moan about their First Amendment all the time. And they're talking about with each other and all that. The First Amendment isn't for you to walk around and slap each other upside the head with. The First Amendment, as well as the other amendments, are to restrict government, not people. Okay? That means the government, and only the government, is not allowed to tell you to shut the hell up. It's not allowed to force you to shut the hell up. Okay? The government is the only one that can't do that. That is your First Amendment right. A lot of people have that a little mixed up somehow. I don't know. Probably watching too much Fox News or something. But a lot of people have that mixed up. And this is, in my opinion, a pretty clear case of government censoring people. You don't see a clear case of it too often. But I don't think anything will be done. Hell, I doubt many will even mention it. A WHO chief says China will still hasn't provided raw COVID-19 data. Hindering investigation into origin of the virus. Well, that was incredibly racist for him to say. Oh, wait, it wasn't? Oh. Huh. Because Trump was in office. It would have been an incredibly racist thing to say. A nuclear reactor shut down manually in Belgium following possible hydrogen leak, says a watchdog. If I was going to do a coup, it wouldn't be with him. Trump attacks woke General Milley, who suspected a Nazi coup attempt. Congressional Black Caucus chair arrested by Capitol Police in protest photo op over voting rights. By the way, I hear all the time people try to validate other people by saying, well, they're a veteran. You know, they're a veteran. As if that, I mean, it does hold more weight, right? But it doesn't necessarily make somebody right. See what I'm saying? Because look at this guy, right? Would you agree with Mr. Woke here? Most of us wouldn't, right? Most of the people that are going to be here watching this probably wouldn't agree with Mr. Woke. But he's military, right? I always get a kick out of people doing that. Yikes. I don't know what. Little funky lightning going on out there. Congressional Black Caucus chair arrested by Capitol Police and... Oh, I already said that one. 59 killed, 1,300 missing after catastrophic flood slam Western Germany. That is nuts. 1,300 people missing. Nuts. And here's the Miami area again. Miami area residential building evacuated after roof collapse. Biden calls Cuba a failed state and says reinstating internet access there is one of the things the U.S. is considering. Now, I saw this headline and I got to thinking, we can do that? How is it that we can do that? I mean, if you're following what I'm saying. We need to leave other countries alone. Biden to send Marines to guard U.S. Embassy in Haiti, but says broader deployment not on the agenda at this moment. And we've got a number one up there. Los Angeles County brings back mask mandate regardless of vaccine status after rise in COVID-19 cases. Let me push that out to the interwebs real quick. Fun times. All right. Well, I think that covers the headlines. I think I am going to get out of here for the week and relax. So, Patreon. I even forgot to mention this. I didn't get the morning news to you today, but I will be there tomorrow. So expect me there tomorrow. Patreon for the morning news. YouTube, expect another vlog video for the Grow Tent to come out tomorrow. Obviously, it won't be a show tomorrow night. Otherwise, from there, we will see you all Sunday evening for the live show. But, of course, Saturday morning, there will be both morning news for Patreon and the evening news for YouTube. So, until then, as always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit. And shalom.